Real quick before we get into the two men who are, I think, I would say single-handedly, but it's two people who are doing the most damage to college sports. We'll get to that in a second. Real quick, because the NCAA tournament is likely going to expand to 76. And nobody wants it, really, except for, these two people and maybe a couple more. But they have the most influence. And before anybody goes and writes or says or repeats, it's going to destroy the NCAA tournament. I mean, I'd love to believe that were true because it would be a great argument to use against it. Because I don't believe we need an expanded NCAA tournament. But I also don't believe it's going to destroy it. I don't believe it's going to make it less appealing. The tournament, look, its appeal is already kind of twisted because we have 68, not 64. So we got over the first four. Some people even celebrate the first four. Whatever. To me, we shouldn't have it, but that's fine. We have it, and we just deal with it. And when they go to 76, I told you before, it won't stop at 76. We'll be at 90. That's where I believe. I'm not even going to say we're going to stop there, but they've put the rules in place to get to 90. We'll just deal with it. Some of us will watch those extra games. Some of us will not, and whatever. But we will move past it because the tournament itself is amazing. That's just the reality of it. So it's not going to destroy the event. It's not going to make it less fun to watch. It's not going to make it better. But it won't make it less good. There will just be more of it. I don't know, maybe for some people that will make it better. I don't think it will. But it's certainly not improving the event. But it's not going to destroy it. So let's just set that argument aside, even if it's something that we really don't want or, frankly, need. Now we get to the other tournament, the college football playoff. We told you yesterday, and we knew that it was coming. I did make one incorrect statement. There's no change for this upcoming year. There will be no change for this upcoming year at all. It'll be exactly as we saw it this past year, maybe even the poorly seeded event that we saw. Because what we had this year were the top four conference champions, top four ranked conference champions got byes, even though the third and the fourth conference champion were ranked in the college football playoff rankings somewhere at 12 and whatever. It was weird. We didn't have 1, 2, 3, and 4 as byes, which we should. You need a unanimous vote of the 10 conference commissioners plus Notre Dame. So 11 different people have to all agree to change that process. I don't think you're going to get that. If you do, great, and they seed it properly, because they should seed it properly. If we're going to have a tournament, it shouldn't be what we had this past year, which was unfair in some ways to Oregon, right? Because you shouldn't be the top seed, and all of a sudden, yeah, your reward for being the top seed in the quarterfinals is that you get the best team that you just happen to beat, and then they slept through another game, and they ended up seeded 8th, and you seeded 1. The whole thing it's unfair to Oregon, but whatever. You also could have won the game. You had an opportunity to play Ohio State, and you couldn't beat them. So it will very likely not change at all. But in 2026, for the 2026 season, changes are coming. All right, so Ross Dellinger from Yahoo Sports wrote the piece over the weekend. I read it. It's gross in that Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti, who run the SEC and the Big Ten respectively, who are on this power trip, money grab. I mean, this is it. This is all that this is about. It's how much money, how much power we can pull out of this system. It has there's no benefit to the sport as a whole. None. This is Pat Forty from the College Football Inquirer. It's Yahoo Sports College Football Podcast with Ross, with Pat Forty, and Dan Wetzel. All three people who have been on this program before. And here's Pat Forty giving you his thoughts at the expanded 14-team college football playoff format, which would include 4 automatic bids for the SEC, 4 for the Big Ten, 2 each for the ACC, and the Big 12 as well. Here's Pat Forty.
This is terrible. This is further greed. This is unchecked power mongering. There's no leadership. There's no leaders. We don't have any leaders. We have strongmen and grifters. That's all we got. We have strongmen and grifters who are running college athletics. They don't give a damn about the whole. They don't give a damn about any other sports. All they want is more money and more control for the things for the top people. That's what the SEC and the Big Ten want most of all. And the ACC and the Big 12 are willing to go along with it because they're going to get 2 bids out of this. And everybody's scared to death that the SEC and the Big Ten are going to go off and do their own thing, to which, again, I say, dare them. Dare them to do it, because if they really want to go down as the worst people in the history of college sports, that's where they're headed. This is far enough. This is far enough that you are shoving stuff so far down people's throats that nobody is sitting there clamoring to say, God, the playoff was no good. We need more teams and we need more automatic bids for the people that already have all the advantages. Is anybody out there saying that? That maybe it's the same people that want a 76-team basketball tournament. Where are they? We're going to end up with that. They're going to shove that down our throat too. That's coming. It's great. College athletics is run by wonderful people.
There are no lies there. No lies at all. It's been a while that I've been saying this. The people who run college football, and by that I mean Greg Sankey from the SEC and Tony Petitti of the Big Ten, they don't like college football. None of this is benefit. None of this is beneficial to college football. None of it. It is entirely beneficial only to the bottom line of the SEC and the Big Ten. That's it. It doesn't make the game better. It doesn't make the sport better. It makes them richer. That's all it does. It consolidates power. That's all it does. I have been saying this for more than a year. The expanded playoff, hey, it was fun. By the way, the episode of this podcast right here, if you are a fan of college football, listen to it, because even Dan Wetzel, who has been a proponent of a college football playoff, and some of my best friends who cover the sport have been proponents of a playoff because they think this is exactly what the sport needs. Every other sport has it. Yeah, except every other sport isn't football. And football needed to be treated differently, and now we're not, and you see where we're headed. But even Dan, who's been a proponent of it, is like, yeah, none of these games were competitive. The opening weekend games, none of them were competitive, but hey, it was cool. We had them on campus. That was fun. They weren't amazing television ratings grabbers. They were good, but they weren't massive. I mean, I think Ohio State, Tennessee probably was. Theoretically, that should have been a good game, but it wasn't. Maybe because Ohio State was that much better than everybody else. But now we're getting into a part of this conversation where we are guaranteeing. This is not about who's best. This is about who's got more power. This is a good analogy. There's a lot of things we can talk about with this. When I was a kid, when I was like, 10 years old, I used to babysit for my younger sister. I was probably a little bit older than that. I think I was 10. I was 12 years old babysitting for my younger sister. She's about a little less than 5 years younger than me. And we'd play Monopoly. But because I was the older brother, didn't want to lose to my younger sister, I rigged the game. Like, you can only buy properties on this side. Like, no joke. I got, the green and the blue properties, and then the orange and the purple, magenta on one side, and she got the light blue and the purple Baltic Mediterranean. I did allow her on the other side where the was it red and yellow?
Is go to jail on that side too?
Go to jail. Where go to jail was? I remember. But so I got the two better sides than she did.
Yep.
She couldn't buy those properties. I could still buy the others, right? But she couldn't buy on that side of the board.
Sibling
Those are the
stuff.
rules. You want to play Monopoly? You want to play my game? You got to play by my rules. What's the freaking difference here? The ACC and the Big 12 both agreed that in the division of revenue in the playoff, it didn't matter which teams made up the field. The ACC and the Big 12 both agreed to essentially combined getting what the SEC and the Big 10 got individually. Why? Why did you do this? Why was this not screamed about by the college football media? Like, what happened to the merit-based part of this? And this is what I've been talking about for so long, and I realize it sounds like, what's wrong with gold? Because none of this is fair. None of this is right. And what Pat Forty said there was that these are groups of schools that already have the built-in advantages of wealth. So the SEC and the Big Ten, by virtue of their television packages, we're going to get to a point where it's going to be twice what the ACC and the Big 12 can pull in. Right? We're not quite there yet, but it will be about twice. And all this is rigging the game. What happened to merit-based? If I were Jim Phillips or Brett Yormark, I would simply go, no automatic bids. Zero. No automatic bids. Best 14 teams go. End of discussion. Why would that be a terrible thing for anybody to say, okay, that's fair? Because if I'm the SEC, I'm thinking, we're going to have 7 of the best 14 teams every year, which they might. But that's how it should be. I don't know. I feel like I'm not. I know because Pat Forty is speaking the same things that I'm speaking right now. I feel like I'm the only person at times who sees this BS for what it is. These two people have zero interest in the health of college football. They don't care. Don't.